Go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. Mr. Crowley, would you do the invocation for us? Please stay standing after for the pledge.
Let us pray. Lord, we are thankful for even though it's hot, we're thankful for the weather and the little break from rain that we've gotten. And we just ask you to bless over the mayor and the council tonight and let them talk about business that is much needed for the city. And we just ask you to pray over the city of Walnut Grove, and in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jen. Tonight, we do have one absent from council, and that is Linda Pilgrim, and the rest of us are all here tonight. I'm going to ask if there is a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll
Go ahead.
A second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. There is no old business tonight. So we'll move on to new business. And the first thing we're going to discuss is the fee and fine schedule, survey results and update. And I want to make a mention to council that we're going to be doing this in phases. The reason for that is because it could take extensive discussion. Some things, I think this first group is not going to take as long as maybe the second and third areas that come through. But we thought it would be wise to really give this its due concern and attention before trying to do it all in one evening. It would be too much.
Okay.
So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our city administrator, Jill Morris.
So you'll be seeing a lot of me this evening. As the mayor said, this is probably going to take a while to get the full fee schedule accomplished. We're doing also a survey at the same time with some surrounding cities in our area that are comparable in method, that the way they either tax or the way they use their fees. So the ones on this one would be Winder, Loganville, Walton County, Monroe, Covington, and so forth. The first one under the attention goes to is the regulatory fees. We went ahead and did the alcohol survey for alcohol licensing for wholesale, retail. Appreciate that. This thing makes it look shorter.
It's just a little awkward speaking up there.
So as you'll note on the wholesale for those licensing, we are comparable to a lot of the cities around us and also the county. Some places don't even have a wholesale fee. That's probably just because they don't have wholesale dealers. For malt beverages and wine, we're also comparable, and also our combination fee, adding up to the equivalent of both, is traditional around this area. For liquor sales for a package store, you'll notice that they can be a vast difference in a lot of these cities around us. For that one, you'll notice we do still come in a little bit below. And the reason for that is just because we don't want to increase so much that it has a burden on anyone in the area. And then for on-sale premises, we're coming in just about where everybody else is comfortable there as well. And for the temporary license, we did add that for per day use instead of just one fee with a 10-day calendar. One that helps us track, and that is what a couple other cities around us are doing.
Liquor sales on premises right now, currently, we don't have anything like that, but we do have a Mexican restaurant that is looking to come in. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
And most likely they'll be on this fee schedule by the time we get this completed and approved, with any changes needed. Because they're still in the early phases of developing that restaurant.
So the temporary license for alcohol is a maximum 10 days per calendar year. Could that also be utilized for special events, like if we wanted to have a wine or
Right.
to sell alcohol, they would have to get a temporary?
Right.
Okay.
Is a maximum of 10 days enough?
It may be, it may not be, but I'll leave that up to council to decide.
No, it's enough. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. I'm trying to understand this. You have, current and new, like, let's use the wholesale beer and wine, 100, 100. Then you say combination is 150. Please explain that to me.
So in current ordinance, once you do both, we are offering a $50 less than doing them separate. So as long as you're doing both. And that's kind of in line with what everyone around us does.
So you're saying if you get both, you're doing 150
Correct.
versus 200?
Correct.
Okay.
Do Winder and Social Circle not have anything like that?
They did not in their published fee schedule. Now, I will put a caveat there that they may, but it may take either open records request or calling each individually.
What is this be for?
Wholesale, alcohol license.
So, I know at least in Central Circle, I don't know about Winder, they don't have a liquor store. So that may affect it
That's why.
some, yeah. And getting to the liquor store, the wholesale, there's a state law that caps it, how much you can charge them.
Okay.
Everyone just goes to the max. So I'm assuming you all are at the max too. And so there's probably no room to raise that or anything.
Okay.
We recommend that everybody just does the max because it's the wholesaler paying the tax and,
Mhm.
it gets passed on to consumers.
That's hard to do. That's not.
So for everybody else, the 5,000 is for the liquor sales package, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
And that is the max by state law that you can charge for a license.
So do we know how many receipts we've been having on it? All I've got is the numbers of 750 for beer and wine license. And I don't know how many people, I mean, is that one store?
For beer and wine.
Yeah.
So that would also encompass retail itself, so that'll be gas stations.
Okay. All right.
Which we get those numbers to you as well.
That would be helpful before we get to the vote stage.
What, I'm curious as to how that, what's the implication of that? What's the purpose of getting that number?
What's the purpose of
Yeah.
in that number so that I better understand what we will have in receipts as compared to what we've been having in receipts?
I don't think I'm understanding.
Okay. We show to date for this fiscal year, $750 in beer and wine license.
Mhm.
Now, let's say that's it's $100. So that means if we divide by 100, that makes 7.5 customers or 7.5 license based on the 750. Maybe somebody got a partial year license or something, I don't know. But are we anticipating the same amount based on the way this is set up as what we've been receiving? Is that what I'm understanding?
We would be anticipating, we're coming up to what other places have been standardized usage. Some of this hasn't been updated since the 1986 amendment to the ordinance. So we've been kind of far behind.
But if we're saying current and new and the amounts are the same, how are we increasing?
Well,
I guess I'm not following something.
a lot of the updating for this one has to do with liquor itself. So we were
Okay.
way behind for liquor.
Okay,
And we've never had a pouring license, at least in recent memory that I can tell. And that's going to be a change as well.
okay.
so the 750 that we've received, that is the amount that we have received in all of these combined this year or for this fiscal year.
Just beer and wine sales.
Okay, so if it's just beer and wine sales, would that just be the
Gas
two
station
convenience stores
and the liquor store.
and the liquor store?
Correct.
But the liquor, we've received 1,700 to date. And so that's
That's gonna go up.
be, okay.
And that 750 beer and wine seems a little low. My opinion. I'll have to look what other cities do, but I would imagine it's probably $500.
For 2,400, why we only have 1,700
Kind
here?
of a bigger piece.
For retail, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, retail.
You've at least got, what, 3 or 4 retail lists?
Right.
So that is low.
Okay. All
The
right,
only two retail places I can come up with in my head are the 2 convenience stores, and we just lost one due to the roundabout.
Mhm.
So what would
Also
the,
has a beer.
okay, thank you. I didn't think about them. I think with the, liquor store package, if everybody else is charging the max of 5,000, we should too. And it looks like that's what Monroe has is 5,000, Wander has 5,000. So I think that makes sense.
Mhm. See? Wow, Covington.
Since we are about to get more restaurants, we really need to consider fee schedule for a license for consumption on premises too.
Also interesting on Covington.
Okay, that's what on premise means, not package, got it.
I mean, Covington, it says 5,000 distilled only. Does Covington have a brewery? Is that why they're saying that?
They do a package deal where it's all three combined, so 5,000 only for distill, and then when you do everything, it's 6,000 total. So
Wow.
it's not a discount per se or anything like that, it's just showing it as a different weightage.
So like the brewery in Monroe, what type of license would they need to open that up?
So we could do it in this format, but there are places where you can survey that as well. So Monroe has that. Covington has a separate fee for breweries themselves. If you look at Monroe's alcohol licensing application, they actually have a lot of like catering, hotel service for alcohol use. That's something we'd have to add.
That would be smart to go ahead and do that now because we do plan on having those types of businesses in the next 5 years or so.
Right. We'll definitely have to update.
if we're gonna have locations that can be event locations inside the city limits, you know, you may have people wanting to do a wedding in the county park, and I don't know how does that fall under us? Would they need a temporary, one of the temporary license for the city that's a county park?
Well, it's county park, it's the city limits.
Right.
So they would have to have more. Be on that.
Okay.
There are
So there's more potential for that is what I'm saying with them having.
neighboring cities of y'all that have all this in place and have this in. Breweries are sort of their own beast.
Mhm.
They're different in state law too, what you can charge them and all that, but. Yeah,
What is the difference between malt beverage?
Beer. That's all.
it's beer.
It's just different way of classifying it throughout.
Okay.
Different cities use different verbiage for that.
So a restaurant that had liquor sales on premises, would we have, we're saying 2,400.
Yes.
Do we have, sorry,
Go ahead.
it doesn't have to do with fee schedule, so I'm fine. I mean, it kind of does. If you're gonna charge a dispute, we have requirements on businesses. Like you've got to have this many employees that are trained and they have to be this age and.
We do have restrictions on, say, age, background checks, things of that nature in all of this, and revenue sources. Right. They have to report to us as long as they're, and I have to get back to the firm numbers on it, but
Yeah, no, you're,
they have to meet a certain threshold of food sales
there we go. Yeah.
to be classified as a restaurant.
Okay.
It's usually 50 or 60%.
Right.
If the liquor sales, we've never had them, and we might be getting one.
Yeah.
And there's, most of the other ones are 3,000, 3,500, or 3,001 still. Yeah, I think we should pop it up.
I think it is.
But at least
We're getting to having downtown and more than they're saying we need more.
I feel comfortable with this information now. Thank you.
Right. If we give the bar enough time.
All right. See that face?
So the next one will be sign permits. This is something that was also, it came first just because we were so far behind that as well. So our current sign permit is $25 for a 10 to 50 square foot and $50 for 51 and up square footage. Now, we do have a maximum square footage in place in our ordinance, so it's not like we have a 500 square foot sign, it's $50. But this one's a little bit unorthodox if you go throughout the other cities because they calculate it very different ways. So I mostly kept with what seemed to be the easiest for administrative burden. That way, our limited staff isn't sitting there calculating all day and just trying to keep it as simple as possible. I thought winery was probably the best method of $100 plus $1 per square foot. And then keeping our temporary sign permit the same. But that would also, for that to be correct, for code enforcement, which I don't think they knew this at the time, ordinance does have a statement of 10 days for a temporary sign and 30 days it has to be removed. So that's currently how it's written. As long as that's doing that, I think the cost of that temporary sign makes sense.
Is it clear in our sign ordinance if somebody say we've got the 10 days, they pull it up and put it back in the next day?
30 days. Definitely 30 days.
And then we only do it a certain number of times per year.
Okay,
That's correct, right?
all right, so
So 6 months.
6 months.
as long as we have our restrictions.
Yes.
And signs. The temporary signs, I mean, we get a lot of the, like the 3x5 banners that you hang. From time to time, like churches won't advertise things. And I'm sure they probably have not been coming in and getting sign permits for those, or those required.
Those are.
That you have a penalty there for signs that are erected without.
Yes, so that is mostly, they're a small city. You put up 4 signs, everyone sees them everywhere. We actually just went through that not long ago. And so our penalty does look a little heftier than some places. Some places don't even have them. But it's almost necessary just to ensure that people aren't just throwing signs everywhere. And that costs administrative time and physical time for our code enforcement. Especially if it's a staked sign that's actually erected that way, they have to go chop them down and all put it up. It's done issue. So we do want to make sure that that fee for penalty is enough to deter people.
I agree. And it's immediate, not you have 14 calendar days to remove it.
If you didn't get permission, it is taken down. Is that the way it goes? Or are we given a phone call and you get so many days to take it down, or?
That could be a courtesy for code enforcement. However, that would also have to be put in our ordinance, how we would follow through with that.
Is it stated in our ordinance right now, how we follow?
It should be, if you remember, we updated the sign ordinance 2-3 years ago, which is what other cities are consistent with. Usually for code enforcement purposes, they have to give a warning and give them time to remove it for signs that are just put up without permit. But that is a code enforcement issue.
So I'm curious, if we do need to give a code enforcement, warning, so we're not taking down the sign or damaging their sign. But we are still able to give that $100 penalty.
It's usually, the way it's normally done is the code enforcement officer would issue a notice of violation, which generally is 14 days to fix the problem before a ticket is issued. It'd be the same sort of process. Same as if your grass is too high or you have trash all over the yard. Or
I think 14 days to remove a sign that you weren't supposed to put up in the first place is much too long, if we can go less.
2 weeks of advertising for free,
Yes,
that's pretty much what it
I'm like
is.
48 hours is sufficient to me to get it down.
Right.
If,
Or to come get
if
it
that's
back
legal
from the
for
code
us to
enforcement
make it that
officer.
short.
We'll definitely look at the
Yeah.
conversation for this.
Now, I'm not talking about the little stick in the ground signs. We're talking about the ones where they planted them in the ground with posts.
Right, because we did have that.
Yeah.
Right.
In those code enforcement cases, you can get fined up to $1,000. So, and that's really up to the judge, what he fines them, but it, 3 weeks of advertisement, I don't know how much a sign permit is, but it's usually more penalizing than getting a sign permit.
Mhm. So just so I understand the difference, wait, is there everything? A temporary sign, did you say that is only good for 10 days?
Well,
Okay.
it's good for 6 total months, 10 days at a time, and then you have to give, I like to call it, so 30 days where you can't have it up. So you have it up for 10 days, down for 30, you can put it back up for a total of 6 months. And then it has to be renewed at that point. And a lot of cities do that in an effort to allow other places to do the same thing. So imagine a small strip mall where in our ordinance, you can only have one on each corner, I believe. And then say there's 4 businesses in between, allowing them to have that sign permit kind of allows that transition of businesses.
Okay.
I will say political signs or real estate advertising signs are usually exempt. I think that's your.
They are.
The last item on the, oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
The last item on that is the public notice sign. Currently, we do not have a fee for that. But if we have to put a public notice out, that does take administrative burden. So essentially it's, we install and remove that public notice sign. There's a $25 fee for that.
So for instance, on that one.
So say a business wants to have a variance.
Oh, okay, all right, I get it, all right, okay.
But who's paying that fee? The business that wants the variance? Okay. But we're the ones that actually put it up. We're just charging them a fee for.
Right.
Okay. That's fine.
Whereas before we didn't charge any.
Right. And those cost us, so
Yes,
if a business wants to go in and they're wanting to do that, I think they should bear the burden.
How much do those public notice signs cost us to get in? Do we know the amount?
they're about 16 or 17 or $18 each.
So we're getting like $7 to install it and uninstall it, like for our public works hourly, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you take into consideration
Plus
to
the
be able to order the.
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's still not very much. It's
Yeah.
like nothing.
It's not.
Yeah, this is not making us money, it's covering our costs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't want to make it where people don't want to request those things.
Mhm.
And would that be paid at the time they're putting in their variance request? So it would be part of, they have their sign permit as well as that public notice sign fee on top. Fee for variance.
In Covington, it says electric 150 plus 5% construction cost in excess of 1,000. And then non-electric 100 plus 5% in excess of 1,000. Is Covington installing the signs themselves?
No, they're charging their electric permit fee.
Oh, okay. All right.
We charge an electric permit fee if there's going to be a lighted sign.
We don't have any, that's against our ordinance to put in like an electronic sign.
You can have a backlit sign, you can have a little sign lit from the front or above. You can't have moving signs.
Yes. Okay.
But like the one at J.H. Martin. That's fine.
It's,
On my thoughts.
well, it's not anymore, right? Like we can't install those types of signs. It's against our ordinance now.
I didn't think so.
I think they can be there as long as they're not moving.
Okay.
What about one liquor store? It changes.
Mhm. That was before the sign ordinance change.
That's what I'm thinking is that
They
JF.
would be grandfathered in,
Right.
regardless of what it's.
Any more questions or comments?
Nope.
So does that mean we can't put a sign in front of City Hall? That changes?
The city should be exempt from your sign. ordinance. So whatever signs you all put up, you're exempt from,
Okay,
should be that way.
if not, let's get it.
Right. Any other questions, guys? No? Good, okay. Well, that was relatively easy.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm glad we're doing this in stages.
Yeah.
Yes. Give it its due. Give it to you, Joe.
Right now, moving on to the extension of the resolution. For the moratorium on accepting applications for rezoning or building permits for properties located in the downtown overlay district. So nothing in this ordinance or the resolution itself has changed, with the exception of the new dates, which would go to
No.
January 16th. So it's a 6-month extension.
You mean June 26th?
It's
Yeah.
Now, a big piece of this, we do have to add verbiage for, say, anybody who had already started prior to the moratorium beginning. Places like Church of the Grove that had permits long before we started this process. They are getting close to where they're going to need those permits. So there's going to be kind of a grandfather clause in this by the time it comes up to vote. I'll make sure everybody gets that.
I think with Church at the Grove, that may be a different instance that we may need to talk to Jay about. Because they were just recently approved in the last 6 months. And so we may have to do a different document.
Theirs was not a zoning change though, right?
Mm-mm.
Theirs was just an approval.
But this is building permits.
So we're gonna need to put some language in there to
Okay.
exclude them out of that.
Okay, got it. All right, great.
What about? Mike's Tires?
Mike's Tires is a different, the same type of situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're under the downtown
Okay.
overlay, right?
There we go.
Yeah, so they're.
Never mind.
this.
Really crazy when you think about all the different things happening around here.
The downtown overlay includes the parkway.
But it includes some of the businesses out on 138 and
81.
81.
It does include the parkway, yes.
Right. Does it include the gas station?
The new gas station.
No, it doesn't.
Thank you, Jay.
The new gas station.
It's the red line around the downtown.
Gas station
All
is
the
out
very
there.
good.
The liquor store is
Where's the gas station?
right there at Forest
Keep going up. Other way,
Other way. No.
towards Joe.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
Keep
Go
going.
up right
Right
there.
there.
It's right there.
It doesn't include any of the commercial properties by that farm either. Yep. But we'll put the verbiage in and get it on the next city council calendar.
So the date, this is going to go from the date we vote. From what, July 16th until the December 16th?
January 16th was 6 months. Yes, I'm judging.
Since the property that I have listed is in the downtown overlay, should I recuse myself from this vote?
No.
Okay.
It's not specific enough.
At the next meeting, you mean?
Right, yes.
And what's it?
Next meeting is July 10th, right? Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. That's going to give us the time also, the additional time, since we just got the additional report that y'all got. To set up those meetings, Joe and I were talking about today. Each month, doing one big set of meetings outside of council. It'll be advertised for anybody who wants to attend to get those other things in place. And this is where the council is going to come in in a very important way. Those ordinances fall directly within the legislative wing of council. And that's where you guys will need suggestions, will need adjustments to ordinances, working with Joe outside of meetings to come into the meetings prepared, ready to go, so we can adjust these things to make sure that we have something to present in those meetings and we can work with a working document rather than coming to a meeting, discussing, going back to a meeting. So this is where the legislative branch really comes in very importantly, so to make sure I put that in today. And of course, Joe and Jay and everybody else in City Hall will be a huge support if you need it or when you need it. And I'll be working on that type of thing too. Let's make sure that we're all speaking with each other to make sure we're all on the same page so nobody's doing double duty. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Excuse me, Joe. Go ahead.
All right, so next we're gonna move on to Hot Bin Inc.'s business license application. So this is a little bit unorthodox, maybe feeling in the past couple months at least. Part of our ordinance, the mayor or mayor pro tem has to be the voice of saying yes to a business application along with 2 city council members. As Maxine said with this, there's a good chance that the public does not have to be in the council forum, which that's something we probably have to discuss with Jay. But we did feel it would probably be easier for this go around. So Hop In Inc. I had Mr. Chavey, or requested from Mr. Chavey to kind of understand more about his business there. Due to, I looked up Hop In Inc. itself, the parent company website, it seemed like a non-freight shipping service.
Like a what?
Non-freight shipping.
Okay.
So what I had requested for was, we don't have that in our uses for our zoning. So usually I'll ask for clarification without prompting what I'm asking for necessarily. So I asked him exactly, give me some percentages of what you think you'd be doing there. So he gave me 60% of on-site activities to the back office activities, as well as its own registered agent responsibilities. So being the parent company of his other businesses in surrounding areas, such as the coffee bean. And then 30% of the activities will be professional services such as notary, registered agent services, witness, faxing, printing, business formation, and consulting. Only 10% of total activities will be non-freight shipping services. In my opinion, that does not make it a non-freight shipping store. That's according to our zoning ordinance. A store such as this could be classified as a business office and would be acceptable in C1 zoning area.
Is there any concern about the parking situation?
We did discuss this parking situation. Right now there is I don't know the proper name for it, but a catering trailer type thing there. He assured me that was not permanent there. That was leaving, and that actually opens up 2 or 3 spots to the back there. As far as for professional services, I don't see it being an issue. Because once that trailer's out of there, he's not storing vans for mass shipping there either. So it would be enough for business office space and coffee.
So kind of similar to like a UPS store with less shipping.
Correct.
Just
Also,
offering the
rest of
professional
our
services, which is something we don't have in the city right now. My question is, when is the coffee shop opening? Or is the coffee shop opening?
We might find out in public.
Okay, all right, okay. And so this is something you want the council to decide on and sign off on?
Correct.
Okay.
And you said it would be considered office business.
Yes.
Give me a definition, so to speak, of back office activities, because that's 60% of the business.
So it could be things like clerical work, filing, really just anywhere you might have employees that work for, because I would assume he's got more businesses throughout. And this
Okay.
may just be kind of his administrative.
Just kind of like a housing for some of your administrative people.
Okay.
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 That's the way I understand.
Will there be a counter at the business?
Funny enough, yes.
Okay.
So, if you don't remember, it was gonna be a burger
Mhm.
establishment. And, there's actually a service window that makes a perfect area for people to come up and get the business.
For all of the sewer issues cleared up?
He does have, sign off by the fire marshal,
Yeah,
for the septic.
and the environmental people
And the
for the
environment.
septic?
It does have sign off or?
Yes. So I think that was actually one of the major, complications he ran into. My understanding.
No retail sales
No, professional services.
or wholesale sales. And no sales per se of the office.
Ask the owner. That question? Mr. Chaffee, is it Chafee or Chaffee?
It's Chafee.
Chafee.
Yes.
I always get it wrong every time we talk.
Yes,
Mr.
okay.
Chafee, will there be any kind of sales other than services?
No, no,
Okay,
other than the coffee shop.
okay,
Coffee shop.
next door.
Yes.
And that is when we can come and have coffee on which date?
Well, the funny thing about it is, it's because the county was requiring, for a full food service facility, complete redo of all the septic over there. We couldn't get the billboards off. So that's a long story. But bottom line is, we're gonna be giving away the coffee
Oh.
that you drink. You just have to buy some dry coffee.
Okay.
So we'll end up giving away the coffee. Yeah.
And if he's not worried about brown about it, I'm not.
Thank you. We don't vote on that. That's not something that we vote on. We don't do votes at these kind of meetings, but, okay. Want to make sure there are no more questions. Great.
So the last item on the agenda is, the public comment amendment to the city limits. So this ordinance was, amended prior in 2024. It was actually the first amendment of that year. In section 3, tag 2119 or 219, the city ordinance. So the things that are changing in this draft proposal, for public comment will be defined as agenda items only. And it'll actually happen before all the business. That way, anyone who has a concern over any of the agenda items gets a chance to say their piece before they're either voted on or discussed. During this time period, so it's kind of the same rules. They will have to be, when they come up, they'll have to state their name and address. to the city clerk and be acknowledged by the mayor. We did change the wording of chair, basically city council chair, because it just meant mayor. When it was being used interchangeably. So they'll have to be acknowledged. And then as far as city council and the mayor, you'll be able to ask clarifying questions if something doesn't make total sense. Because the big purpose of public comment is for people to feel heard, get their opinion out, that way you guys get that feedback before voting or discussion. For the public hearing portion, one more thing about public comment, it'll be 3 minutes. There's an error later on in the draft proposal for, it'll also be 3 minutes, very similar rules.
Okay, so you're saying at this point where it says shall be allotted 5 minutes, that'll be changed to 3 minutes?
For public comment and town. So public
In
hearing,
town hall, okay.
so public hearing will still be 5 minutes because we're requesting them to come. So it's those.
And that's to bring it in line with the ordinance are in the different place already in place, the
Right.
minutes, yeah.
Right.
And so with public comment is, the mayor able to ask questions or are council members able to ask questions?
I have written in here for both to ask
Okay.
clarifying questions.
Second page.
And then that time can be extended with a majority vote. in city council. For public hearing, much of the same rules. During the public hearing, individuals wish to speak, have to submit their name and their address. We already know the topic of discussion because we asked them to be here for it. And the limits also can be related by the majority city vote, but they get 5 minutes. That's really the only difference. That's because we're requesting this. For town hall, and this was actually not in our rulings, but it was kind of a standard that we were using. It'll be the last agenda item of the city council meeting to allow for more of a relaxed style and let people voice any concerns they have that's not on the agenda. We do have it in there for prior approval. That way we can better service citizens in the community of 48 hours. It doesn't do them any good if they come and ask a question. So having that topic really helps out. It's going to be 3 minutes as well. And then in this portion, city council will be able to ask more than just clarifying. It's more of a discussion. It's just this.
So in that town hall part, the part about submitting a topic is not in this.
Oh,
Right? I
right.
mean, I don't see it in here. Okay, great.
But that will, yeah.
Okay. Are we going to limit at all the number of public comments on something? Or are we going to allow it to go for 4 hours? I
That
think
was,
there should be
that
a
was
period
one,
of
that was
time.
one thing that was covered in, as a matter of fact, my last class and conference where we were covering public comments and consensus there. And most of the cities put an overall limit as well as a per person limit. But also there were things in there such as you can't come back in, or, you know, you can only come back in once, different things of that nature. And
There shouldn't be repetitive.
I can provide that slideshow to you, Joe, that would give you what their recommendations were.
On public comment, if there's a group of people who all go the same way, they should pick a one speaker, so that we're not hearing from 10 people who are saying the same thing, essentially.
And there's some language in there that talks about
There's some
covering the
verbiage,
same event again.
there's some verbiage that county uses already.
And
On
how
public
the
comment
chair can have.
on all of their agendas.
So,
Yeah, got it probably borrow from that if you don't have it.
It is in the town hall portion, but we can definitely have that.
This is basically tightening things up a little bit,
Correct.
making things run a little bit smoother.
Who's setting the 3-minute timer?
And that was.
We're gonna get a
nothing-
clock and that's your job.
Actually,
Then Mr. Gibson up will have a bomb going off on the TV screen. That's what we do. Your time's up, yeah, seriously. The vendors get 5 minutes when their time's up, a bomb goes off on
Can we
you.
get a tiny stop sign
We can get a clock so that we can see, because I know a lot of cities and counties do that.
Yeah.
A lot of idea how much they can have it a little bit longer. On the wall. Okay. Okay. Great. Any other questions?
Can we make coffee?
Ruby here?
No.
Okay. Were we going to talk about concrete flooring here, or we're just going to go ahead and let council concrete flooring?
We can talk about it if you'd like that.
I think it's pretty straightforward and it's zoned correctly and everything else. We'll just go ahead and let council members decide afterwards, I think, since we didn't amend the agenda to include it. Okay. Okay, so we're moving on to public comments. Is there anybody who has any public comments or questions or anything that they would like to speak on? No? Okay.
I have a question
Okay.
about the coffee place.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind answering, will there be like a table and chairs where people can congregate and drink the coffee? Because I know you said you're pretty much giving the coffee away for free, so that will be,
No, it won't be on any on-site consumption. And so everything that you make, it'll be to go.
so it's just like a lobby area with coffee in it.
Correct.
Okay.
That beautiful deck isn't going to be used.
No, the deck is not going to be used, except for maybe by an employee or two to sit out there and
Mhm.
relax. That's about
That's unfortunate.
it.
So it has a current business license for the coffee?
It has a current business license. I don't remember exactly what it was, but was it the coffee shop?
Yes, we have a.
So,
They have a current business license.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, we might need to see if that needs to be amended to match what she's actually doing.
so 60% of the back office was like for the coffee bean. Is coffee bean located somewhere else? Like, is there another business called the Coffee Bean that's not in Walnut Grove?
So the free game itself has a web, we do web sales as well, so you do significant number of web sales, so, yeah,
So like, it's an e-commerce business.
yes. We also have an e-commerce side of it.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight to answer those questions.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Makes it much faster.
If you guys want to know more about it, just go to www.freebean.com. Kind of see, we have a big focus on first responders and military, so.
Oh.
Freebean.com. Okay. If there are no more public comments, then I will ask for a motion to adjourn. So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Okay. Maxine, are you in favor?
Sorry.
Unanimous. Thank you. We're adjourned.